You're still watching Newsday. The role that lifestyle factors play in fertility issues has generated some amount of interest and questions among stakeholders. And so there is a need to highlight the impact of lifestyle behaviors on the fertility potential of an individual and what can be done to prevent or improve reproductive outcomes. Some researchers in this space have indicated that a negative impact of modifiable lifestyle factors such as fat-rich diet, delayed childbearing, smoking, alcohol misuse, sexual behavior, anxiety and beliefs were associated with fertility. Now, the ensuing stress precipitates such behaviors such as excessive alcohol and caffeine consumption, tobacco smoking, misuse of recreational medications, which increases the risk of sexually transmitted diseases and infection leading to infertility. Experts are now of the opinion that more reproductive health education is needed to create the necessary awareness of the etiologies of infertility and the importance of an in vitro fertilization treatment as a means of conceiving natural babies is suggested. For a conversation on this subject, we're now being joined by Dr. Abayomi Ajayi. He is a fertility physician. Good to have you with us as always, sir.
Thank you so much, Nii.
All right, you've heard. So what lifestyle choices do we make that affect our fertility?
Wow. Well, many. I mean, and most of the time, these are things that we're oblivious of, okay? And when we talk about lifestyle, it means the way we live. From when we get married or when we start raising children or raising a family, to what we eat, to how much of sleep we get, to where we live, and other behaviors, like I saw in your intro, which is very comprehensive. So it's important that we start letting people see that all these things affect fertility, especially when people say, okay, I'm not ready to have a baby right now, so why are you telling me this? But the thing is that this is fertility is a long-term project. Just like you have your health, you're going to be stuck with this body in a lifetime. The same thing with fertility. So if we're doing anything that would damage our fertility right now, when we're ready, then there's going to be challenges. So it's better that part of prevention is this education, to be able to tell people that, look, these are some of the things that you need to avoid in order to, when you now want to start raising families, we don't have these issues coming up.
And talking about these lifestyle choices, does it only impair natural conception?
Unfortunately, no. It both, even, and that's one of the problems we have, okay? And we get this all the time. People think when you want to do IVF, that is just, yeah, I can do anything and then come and do IVF. For example, you are smoking, which reduces both the sperm count and the air quality in the woman. And then you come for IVF and you continue to smoke. Now, when you talk about smoking, that's even very funny because sometimes you're not smoking, but you are inhaling smoke secondhand. That is, your husband is smoking or somebody very near you is smoking. It's as dangerous as you smoking, because the problem is the toxic substances actually is in the smoke of the cigarette. So now that affects both the sperm count, it affects the sperm quality. There's something we call, in reproduction, the only thing the man contributes is the DNA, all right, when there's fertilization of the egg and the sperm. Now, we've seen that when you smoke, the DNA becomes fragmented. And so what you are transmitting to the lady in forms of fertilization is defective, and therefore the embryos that will form also is not of good quality, and is not the ability to become babies is quite reduced. So we have some people like that, not to talk of weed, and now it's like an epidemic of weed. And young people are just taking it and they come to do IVF, thinking that, okay, I can continue to smoke and this will override, IVF will override these things. No, it's not possible, it's not true. Because IVF is just doing what happens in the body, outside the body. Okay, so it affects, so the answer really is that, no, it's not only natural fertility that this affects. Even when you're trying to get infertility treatment, this is also affected.
So still on the issue of IVF outcomes, can lifestyle choices also impact that, as it were?
Oh, sure, it can. Yeah, let's look at it. Okay, let's look at these factors. Let's look at age. Of course, we know that the greatest factor to success in IVF or in reproduction generally is age, especially the woman's age. Of course, the man's age also is affected. Now, we look at the weight of the woman, or what we call the BMI, body mass index.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you are, in fact, in other climes, like in the UK, if your BMI is above 30, NHS-funded IVF will not be made available to you. If your BMI is about 35, you are not even, the private people will not even also treat you. But we see here in Nigeria that a woman is 38, so age is not on your side. Your BMI is 43, so BMI is also not on your side, and you want to do IVF treatment. Definitely, the chances are like about 30% reduced. So yes, all these life factors. So when we look at the age, we look at the what you eat, because that's what makes either we're obese or we're not obese.
Yeah.
A little bit of exercise is also very important, not excessive exercise, and because we know also that affects the reproductive capability. At least that's why some athletes have what we call amenorrhea. They don't see their menses regularly, or they don't even see it at all, because there is disruption in the hormonal balance in the body. So those are some of the things. Then your habits like alcohol, cigarettes, weed, or other recreational drugs. And you know, one thing also that is important is this bodybuilders or people who go to gym and they say they take supplements. Most of the supplements are not safe. They are hormones. And so if you do not know what you're taking, that's also another thing that people do, self-prescription, you know, or the person prescribing to you is not a qualified doctor. I don't know how on earth we got to the point of selling supplements in gyms. Do you understand? Because we see these guys with 6-pack, and then everybody says, okay, that's what they're doing. So, but it's important for us to know what we are taking. And yeah, so let's just put it that way.
What are some good habits that one could embrace in order to boost their fertility?
Yeah, I think the first thing is your diet. Okay, just like you said in your intro, it's important that you're careful about fast food, all this junk food that will then try to supplement the fat with the heavy trans fat with the low unsaturated fats. For example, butter is not it. Maybe margarine is not it. Maybe olive oil, some butter, yeah. But margarine is a no-no. All the things that.
How about vegetables and fruits?
Wonderful. You never go wrong with vegetables and fruits.
Red meat?
That's a red line.
It's always red. Yeah. So you have to limit the red meat that you eat, and then So what we say is you eat healthy, okay, and then some people talk about Mediterranean diet and stuff like that. Well, sometimes some of those things also we need to be careful about how we take them. But healthy lifestyle is just the thing. Coffee.
Okay.
A little bit of coffee is probably, they say 200 grams a day is safe. But if you're taking, that's about a cup, 2 cups. But you can't be taking 5 cups of coffee in a day. And then, especially if you have fertility challenge, because those are some of the things that you also need to look out for.
Very good, Dr. Ajay. Now, are there some myths surrounding lifestyle fertility, and can you debunk some of them?
I think the first one that comes to mind immediately is that infertility is a woman's problem, okay? And that I, as a man, I can live anyhow, and we have infertility. I'm smoking, I'm drinking, and I'm obese. Because we've seen studies have shown that even men also are affected by all these factors. So it takes two to tango, especially when it comes to fertility and infertility. So, so the first thing is that a man also should be as involved as the wife. You are not just to pay the bills. Okay. Things like also age, that, okay, I can just decide to have a baby anytime I'm ready. Might not be totally true. You know, so there is a particular age where nature has made it that we should be able to reproduce without so much stress. When we start extending it, then we should not be surprised when we have some problems on the way.
All right, Doctor, let's talk about the environment and, of course, the occupational exposures. How does that impact fertility as well?
Yes, that does a lot. That's why I said your lifestyle includes where you live. And that's why you see in the wisdom when they were designing even cities, you see that industrial areas are different from residential areas because there can be some waste, you know, but which we don't want to expose people to. But of course, you know, a place like Lagos, that's
totally out of it. So, you know, town planning rules are just, you know, out of the way.
So these are some of the effects that also we can have them because the environment has a lot to do with us. We know that things in the environment, like with phthalates, like in plastics. You know, now I think even Nigeria, we're trying to do something.
Styrofoam in Lagos.
Exactly, which is a very good thing because people don't know that our exposure, there's some chemicals used to make plastics, either up to nylon bag, flexible, or even the one that is hard, like water bottles and so. There's some of those chemicals that in very high doses, they could be injurious to us, especially to our fertility. So the environment is important, and the work we do also, there have been studies in other climes, for example, particular occupations like people working in fuel stations, people working in paint industries. Studies have been done to show that this might affect their fertility over a long period of time. For example, people who are exposed to heat to their testes. And this is not only for Okada drivers alone or truck drivers, but those of us also who put laptops on our laps, you know, so because that might heat up the testes to an extent, especially, you know, when you form a habit of this and it's always there. Yeah, there was also a study done even about cell phones in pockets,
you're right.
You know. So those are some of the things that the environmental and vocational factors, and of course, even playing where they play, for example, if you stay for very long periods of time on the golf course where pesticides or herbicides have been applied also. Then again, you know, mining. These days that we're placing a lot of emphasis on mining. Some communities actually, they have been exposed to some of these heavy metals.
Gas flaring as well.
Gas flaring. We did a study that we saw that people in the Delta area, the sperm count is worse than those of us who are in other parts. Because, you know, fortunately, we have 3 clinics in different parts of Nigeria. So we looked at the sperm count in the south. We looked at the sperm count in Lagos and looked at the sperm count in Abuja. And we saw that the ones, of course, it's not a population-based study, it's a clinic-based study. So we can't shout about that so much. But it's not something that we can ignore.
Directly affected, as it were.
Yes.
On account of all this.
Well, Dr. Ajayi, always good to have you here on Newsday. Thank you so much for coming in this afternoon and for talking.
My pleasure.
Thank you
so much.